Our scripture reading this evening will be from James chapter 2, verses 14 to 17. James chapter 2, 14 to 17. What use is it, my brethren, if someone says he has faith, but he has no works? Can that faith save him? If a brother or sister is without clothing and in need of daily food, and one of you says to them, "Go in peace, be warmed and filled," and yet you do not give them what is necessary for their body, what use is it? Even so, faith, if it has no works, is dead, being by itself. You may be seated. This year, we've been working towards strengthening our relationship with God every day of the week. We've been looking at different practices, habits, and rhythms that we can add to our lives to better connect with God. Last month, our focus was on relating with God through service. Our readings looked at how we can serve one another, serve neighbor, serve the least of these, and serve our city. Service is more than just attending a service project. From time to time, Jesus he expects us to live with a servant mindset. We should constantly be looking for opportunities to serve. Last month, we also installed deacons to serve and lead in the church in various areas. So tonight we're going to hear about 3 different areas of service. A complete and printed list of all of our deacons can be found over at the ministry involvement table. So tonight we'll hear from Gary Wooster, who's going to share with us how we can get involved with the hospital visitation ministry and seniors ministry. We'll also hear from BJ Stewart, who's going to tell us how we can serve God and others through worship services at nursing homes and attending online worship at Hefner Mansions with some of our members. And then finally, Jeff Weaver will share with us how we can help new members get acquainted with the congregation through our Welcome Home ministry. So first off, Gary Wooster.
My name is Gary Wooster. I'm privileged to be one of the many deacons that serve the Congress here at North Mac, the congregation here at North Mac. I'm supposed to talk on 2 areas, the first of which is the hospital visitation program, which has been going on for several years, and the second being a new program that's just getting started. The hospital visitation program, basically, when you check in the hospital, they'll ask you on the admission forms if you have a church preference, and a lot of times people will put in Church of Christ for the preference. Those people generate a list, which then ultimately comes to Gary Rollins, our hospital minister, and then is passed on to me. The service that we have involves several local hospitals. We go to Integris Baptist, we go to Mercy Hospital, we go to the Heart Hospital out next door to Mercy. We go to Deaconess, or the Integris on Portland Hospital is the name of it now. We also visit some rehab centers. We go to Ignite, which is the old Portland Church of Christ nursing home, which is being used as a rehab center now. We also see people at Murata, which is located between Hefner and it's on Hefner between Council Road and Rockwell. We also go to the rehab center out at Mercy, just north of the Kilpatrick Turnpike, and we have some other less frequently visited places. But on the applications or the forms that you will fill out if you're willing to visit, you can signify which hospital you'd prefer to go to, or if there's particularly a place that you just don't think you can go. How does it work? Well, on Tuesday nights, usually between 6 and 7, I call Gary Rollins, and he gives me the list of people that he has that are currently in the hospital or one of these locations that needs to be visited. Sometimes the list is pretty long, sometimes it's not, okay? Sometimes there's problems with the list in that the hospital stays nowadays are very short. People are getting seen for 48 hours and then discharged out of the hospital to a rehab center or something to finish up the part of their care. We expect or would like to see the visits that get assigned to the members here occurring within 24 to 48 hours. So something in the time frame of Wednesday or Thursday after they're notified. Certainly at any time you're able to call and verify that the patient is still in the hospital, and the visit wouldn't be wasted if you went to the hospital to see them. Okay. What happens at a visit? I'd like to think it's mostly listen. You remember in Job, his friends did quite well as long as they just sat quietly there. Okay. And a lot of times people in the hospital, they need to kind of lead the talk about what they want to talk about. A few times I get asked to lead prayers, not as much as you would expect, but certainly we're reasonably capable of talking with people and at least listening to what people have to say. It can be a very lonely place. Okay. The frequency of the visits, if we have enough people, we try to make a visit once a month for each of the volunteers that are visiting. Okay. More volunteers would certainly be helpful because we're down a little bit in that aspect. Currently, we only have 13 people or couples that are on the list to visit the hospitals. Since reinitiating the program after COVID, which started back up in June of 2023, the people in the program have made 178 plus visits, okay, in this year. Okay. We limit the visits to a certain extent. We don't ask people to go see patients that have highly communicable diseases. We don't expect you to dress up in a surgical gown or anything like that. If they're that sick, they may not be able to benefit much from your visit anyway. In situations where the patients are in critical care or intensive care, oftentimes we suggest that we just visit the relatives who may be there visiting their own sick relative at the time. In no way do we intend the program to take the place of you seeing or visiting your friends, but this program goes beyond that. This is mainly aimed at those people who may not have friends that know they're in the hospital in Oklahoma City and would certainly appreciate a supporting visit from a member of North Mac. We also have some little cards we give out, have a scripture on the back, and we encourage the family, if they wish, to come visit us during our services if they're going to be prolonged, if their loved one's going to be a prolonged admission to the hospital. So this isn't just for your friends, but this is for a service to people that have specified an interest in the Church of Christ. And this may include some people who aren't really strong Christians, but if they see us caring about them, that may help them become better Christians after they get out of the hospital. The new work that we've just started, I'm not sure what we're going to call it. It's called Senior Help or Senior Mission. The concept, at least, is that we're going to ask people that are in the 65 and up group. Now, if you're 64 and you need some help, don't hesitate to ask. Okay, but in the 65 and up group, to fill out some questionnaires for us, and they'll be posted on the middle island back at the back about Involvement Center. And the questions are just to specify what these people may need from us as brothers and sisters in Christ. And I know it sounds a little odd to think about it, but have you ever tried to switch the battery on your smoke alarm that's going off when you're 75 years old? That can be tough, swaying on the ladder way up there and things like that. My own personal situation is my wife does not let me go up on ladders unless she's in attendance. Okay. Some light moving, you just can't hardly pick up a piece of furniture anymore when you're this age, and just a little help. I'm not saying we're going to be by every day to move everything around, but I think some things like that would be easy for us to do. I think there's probably an area for what I would call homeowner electrician, homeowner plumber, okay? We don't want non-licensed work being done, okay? But certainly if a socket is flickering or a switch is flickering, many of you, I'm sure, in a large congregation like this are capable of changing that out and taking care of the problem, where the elderly member may not want to call out an electrician to do such a simple task for them, okay? Again, we don't want any any plumber codes or anything in Oklahoma City, or for that matter. but plumber jobs can be very challenging. I have a date this evening after services with a leaking stem valve on the hot water faucet of my bathroom sink, okay? Depending on how we've put a new stem in, but it still hasn't stopped leaking. Depending on how that goes, we may have to have a transplant tomorrow with a new set of fixtures if Lowe's or Home Depot is open, okay? It may be something as simple as a trip to the grocery store, where these people just don't feel that comfortable driving in city traffic, okay? It could be a trip to the doctor's office. I hesitate to mention that, but there's a whole bunch of people that have trouble getting to see their doctor because they just can't get the kids to take off from work to bring them to their doctor, and that would be a useful thing to do for these people. How many of you have a drawer that hasn't opened at your house in one of the dressers for the last 3 years? Okay, there may be some people out there in our congregation that are completely capable of making those drawers work. And you need to pursue that if we can be of help. I put down on the list computers. If there's anything that challenges my Christian life, it's probably my computer or lack thereof as far as computer skills. And I get downright angry, God forgive me, for when I get dumped off of the internet into a blank screen, and then it says, our 24-hour helpline is such and such. You call the helpline and you get a quote, we're not available after 7 o'clock on Saturday and Sunday, but if you'll leave a message, we'll get back to you as soon as we can on our 24-hour helpline. I must be more challenged than I realize. I've got at least 3 different printers, but I still haven't got a Wi-Fi connection that works consistently. So if there's a computer geek out there that can help the old people do those things, it may be a real service, okay? Internet connections, dripping faucet, we talked about that. Back on the medicine scene, the Medicare paperwork can be a nightmare, and someone that may know a little bit about that could surely help our seniors fill out some of that paperwork. I get turned to collections even though I work for the hospital that I was admitted to, and the insurance for my health care is through the same hospital, and they still threaten to turn me to collections. I don't see why they can't figure it out. Anyway, did you know that the water filter on the front of your refrigerator should be replaced every 6 months? Yeah, okay. How many people even know there is a water filter on the refrigerator? Okay, got it. Okay. That's a relatively simple homeowner type task. Okay. And there are other things, and I'm not being sexist, but how difficult it is for someone who never did it to sew buttons back on a jacket. That's a real skill. Yeah, that's really something. I don't have that skill set and would love that help, and I'm sure there are plenty of seniors that would need things like that. Okay. What I see our mission or our activity doing is coordinating between the people that need something done and the people that are willing to do it. The second questionnaire we'll send out will be hopefully addressed to those people that have skill sets and can just tell us what you're comfortable doing. And then if we can get the task associated with a member that's comfortable doing it, maybe we can get some benefit done to benefit these older people that need help. Okay. This being a servant does not necessarily, it's not lights and bells and whistles type. It's not evangelism in what we think of as a normal evangelism, but just like in Sunday school this morning, in chapter 16 of Romans, we learned about Phoebe. And what did Paul say about Phoebe? Well, the NIV says she was a deacon. Well, we know better than that, okay? Most translations say she was a servant. And that's all the direction we're getting from Paul, is that people who are servants for other members of the church in love are doing the work of God. Okay. And who knows, the neighbor down the street may take notice of how we're treating our members and say, gee, I need to check this bunch out. Okay. If you need questions, Jack Oglesby is with me as the deacon on the new activity. We'll be glad to talk with you, fill out questions. As you can see from the sign down here in front, the loose leaf notebook that holds the sheets to fill out for hospital visitation is right in front of that sign out in the lobby. And if any of you would be willing to help join and help increase the numbers, the more people that do it, the easier the burden. And we certainly look forward to helping and talking about it and working with you to serve God in this way. In my life, Lord, be glorified, be glorified. In my life, Lord, be glorified today. In my song, Lord, be glorified, be glorified. In my song, Lord, be glorified today. In your church, Lord, be glorified, be glorified. In your church, Lord, be glorified today.
Good evening. It's been about 2 years since we were invited back into the nursing home situation after COVID, and it is a privilege to be able to do this. The Saintly Seniors Program, that's what we're calling it because it's more than one place. The first place we were invited back to was the Lakes, and this is where we go to worship at 3:30 in the afternoon, Sunday, rain or shine, holidays or otherwise. And it is right across the street, right there. This is Margaret Teague. She comes to us from Del City, and Margaret is wonderful. She is our eyes and ears in the Lakes, and among other things, we lovingly refer to her as our missionary in residence. She invites people in, and she brings them to worship, and she lets us know when something is amiss, or when we need to make phone calls, or when we need to go to the hospitals, and she is just a joy to work with. You have met her at community lunch. We have, Margaret is one of the reasons why this program is so successful. One of the benefits of working so closely with the Lakes and having such a long relationship with the Lakes is that we are able to go to community lunch. And so when we are able, once a month, we bring some of the ladies. In this photograph, you can see some of our ladies right here. And you can see this gentleman right here in an empty walker, I'm not sure. We're able to bring them over, serve them lunch, take them back, and we have, that is the highlight of their month. They tell us how nice it is to get out of the building, but it is a wonderful opportunity we have. That's 3 of our ladies. They range in age from in their 40s to in their 90s. Among other things, when we went back into the nursing home, we were invited to do several things, and one of those things is the trick-or-treating at the nursing home. They are delighted when they get visitors, and one of the ways that they invited us back in, you can see the flyer on the left, and you can see the picture on the right. We took about 22 kids in costume. They had a wonderful time, and we are scheduled to do both nursing homes again this year. That is the Saturday before Trunk or Treat on Sunday here. The second location that we have, and God decided it was time for us to expand before I knew it was possible, is we got Marada. And this is, it's the same location Doc mentioned. It is on Hefner between Rockwell and Council. And we added this worship service. It is at 2 o'clock on Sundays. And because of that, we ask our speaker to speak at both the 2 o'clock service and at the 3:30 service. You only have to prepare one talk. It's 5 to 10 minutes. And you get to present it. So you can see that they do this in the dining room right here. We have about 6 members of the church at this facility. We have about 10 that come to worship. And this is a wonderful opportunity to come be a bright spot for these people. It is also an excellent training opportunity. One of the ways in which we are growing as a congregation is we start our Bible classes at the very earliest ages. There is a Bible class for toddlers. There is a Bible class for, we have nursery for the new ones. We have Word Warriors. The Word Warriors can then transfer into Mighty Men and Serving Sisters. And then from there, you can transfer into the youth group. You can do hospital visits. You can teach. You can help in a classroom. You can go on the youth mission trip and several other things. And from there, the goal is to prepare you for a lifetime of service. And it is never too early to get started in such an opportunity. They invited us out to an Easter egg hunt at Marada, and it was fantastic. There were way more eggs than children, but as you can see, we had a good time had by all, including Madeline Dolce, who thought Betty needed some of her chocolate. That's a skill I have not learned in several decades, to share Easter eggs. And because someone saw a need, and it is definitely a doable thing, I want to introduce you to my good friend Jane Yarborough. She is a resident over at Hefner Mansions. She has declared, she's right in the back regretting our friendship this moment. She has decided that Hefner Mansions is her mission field, and so she has invited anyone who will come to worship with her. There's an excellent article in the bulletin. Thank you, Kyle. And as you can see, in the article, it says that they worship in the theater. So at 10 o'clock on Sunday mornings, the worship is set up. The Bible class and the worship are both set up in the theater. It's on the big screen, and it's piped in through speakers. And they're there for class at 9 and worship at 10. And so what we have asked is that the BK groups the BK leaders ask their groups which two families they can send to worship. And as you can see, we have college kids. We have Tommy Ackard. We have, that's my family in the back. But they are worshiping on couches and in armchairs. And but this group, because it is in the theater, if we can send 6 widows, and you're there to worship. We can send teenagers. It's great. You're there to worship. You don't have to take anything with you. Everything is provided. All you have to do is look at the Magic schedule, find your BK group, and they will ask you who would like to go. And if you get the invitation, I highly recommend you take it. This theater seats 15. If all 4 members of the church that are residences there are there, that still leaves 11 spots. Totally worth it. I did not schedule Jeremy Roberts on the Sunday after camp. That was happenstance. But if you miss your opportunity the first time around, that's okay. In 5 months, you can do it again. So, but this is an excellent opportunity to serve. The difference between worshiping 2 or 3 people in a nursing home and worshiping 2 or 3 people and 2 other families that make 10 is orders of magnitude better. It's more encouraging. The singing is better. The prayers are better. If you get an opportunity, you should definitely take it. I highly recommend it. And a big shout out to Rob Schwartz and to Kirby Edmondson and their team for putting that together for us. How to participate. So the Saintly Seniors, because it encompasses a great deal from a spiritual standpoint, definitely use your BK group. They have connections. You can make visits. You can go to worship at Hefner Mansions. That is 10 o'clock on Sundays. At 2 o'clock is Marada, and we are happy to use our speakers whenever they have opportunity, I schedule those, and I will happily put you in. I'm currently scheduling for September and October because we have an embarrassment of riches. Last Sunday was Samuel Scaife, age 12. He did a great job. This afternoon was Charles Williams, who is age young at heart, and he also did a very good job. But that is for 2 o'clock and at 3:30. But if you only pick one service, let's say you go to the 2 o'clock and then you come home and take your nap late in the afternoon, that's okay. If you want to take your nap first and then be at the lakes at 3:30, that's okay too. If you just pick one Sunday a month, what the people who are there see is that the church is not 4 guys in white beards showing up. What they see is a rotation of people and familiar faces so that they know that the church is not just a small group, but it is a revolving group of people. The goal is actually to include as many people as possible so that the people there see as many people as possible, and so that you, as many people as possible, can meet as many of them as possible. In addition to that, that's all well and good. They have some things that they really enjoy doing. The first is the community lunch. If you have an opportunity to come to the community lunch, please show up a few minutes early. We can walk over to the nursing home. We can pick up some of those ladies, and we can bring them back over here. We have been, the first time we did this, they said, you can have 4. And last month we had permission for 11. We didn't get all 11, but we had permission. That takes jumping through flaming hoops to do it, but it's worth it. There's a Christmas tree out here in the month of December that the congregation very graciously pulls a tag, and it's slippers and socks and sweatsuits and things like that. You guys keep up the good work. They love it. We don't do that just for the people that come to worship. That's for the entire facility across the street. We have an Easter egg hunt scheduled for 2025 as well, and that's at Marata. The trunk or treat we're going to do at both facilities on the Saturday morning prior to the trunk or treat here on Sunday. If you want to clean out your library, you want to bring books, we have had a suggestion, and it's a great idea, just to refresh the library that they have over there. Feel free to bring us books. We will send them over there, and they will put them into circulation in their library. Even more important, if you feel the need to purchase a Bible or 2 and you would like to donate it to the program, it is amazing how many people either don't have one, or because their hands don't work as well as they used to, they tear up their Bibles and they need a new one. And so we are happy to give those Bibles to them. And then the last is something that we're adding because they lost the person that used to do it. But here's something very simple. Most of the people that we work with 10 or 11 members of the church across 3 facilities. Most of the people there are widows. And one of the ways that they feel beautiful and feminine and renewed is to do their nails. So if you have an interest in just cleaning off the old nail polish, filing it up a little bit, and putting on new nail polish, about once a month, we have a couple of ladies that have agreed to help lead that, and that would be fantastic. We have opportunities. The fields are white to harvest, and there is lots and lots to do. If you have questions, I will happily entertain your curiosities. If you have questions about the 10 o'clock service at Hefner Mansions, Cody Tudor is overseeing that program on my behalf. And if you would like to be at the 2 o'clock service, Jordan Reeves is leading that. And it is a wonderful program. Bill Medeiros is a phenomenal resource. The Greenroyds, the Ackards, even in the youth group, Bo and Bigby and Jake Holman and Cooper. This afternoon, Lane and the Satries were there. It is a wonderful opportunity, and it brings light into what can be a dark place sometimes. Thank you.
We have a very large congregation here. For the last 25 years before Carrie and I got up here, we attended a congregation that had about 30 members, and then the next one had about 90. And so it was very easy to get to know everybody and kind of understand what's going on in their lives. A congregation of this size is a great challenge to try to have really much involvement with anyone when you hardly know anybody's names. An example of this is recently at the South Walker Workday, I met Chad Cashett for the first time. He's been attending here since 2016, and we've been here since 2020. And so a program that we have in place that's designed to help especially our new members integrate into the congregation a little more quickly is the Welcome Home program. It's been in place for quite a while. It predates Carrie and I, but with COVID, it had to shut down. And so when we were able to finally start opening things up, we started working on that program again, and it was Rob Schwartz and I were given that responsibility, and we started it going again. And so we have, what it currently looks like right now is we have 5 teams, about 4 to 6 families of established members, and they meet. 2 of the teams meet every 2 months. The other teams meet about quarterly. And what they're designed to do is to host meals, generally on a Sunday afternoon, and those teams invite about an equal number of new members and into their homes, and that gives you an opportunity to spend a little more time than just kind of the casual greetings that we do here in the auditorium. And Kristen sends me a list periodically. I'll probably get one this next week with the new members that joined our congregation this morning, and I track that, and then I disperse that out to the team leaders, and then that gives them an opportunity to identify folks for their upcoming Welcome Home meals. The teams, as they're doing what they do, ideally, the new members are encouraged to not, occasionally when we're inviting folks, they'll say, oh, I went to one. And the intent is, well, no, we want you to go to all of them. And so the hope is that all the teams will overlap to where these new members are given an opportunity, by the time it kind of works its way all the way through, to be introduced to a pretty significant swath of this congregation. It just helps them get more integrated more quickly and more actively involved in the congregation, and just help them to be able to recognize a face and put a name with it. And so what I'm working, Rob is, he did most of the work when we got it started. Because of his health, he's decided to take a step back, and so I'm taking care of it all now. And what I would like to do is encourage, if anyone has an interest in being part of this Welcome Home program, we'd love to have more teams. I don't think there would ever be a time when we'd have too many. And so if you have an interest, please get with me, get with someone in the office, get with Kyle, and let me know, and we'll try to assemble more teams. And it's a great experience, you know. I mean, Carrie and I, we've been here for about 4 years, and there's so many new faces, but it's nice to meet people, and when you see them on a Sunday morning or see them on a Wednesday evening, you've already introduced yourself, you know a little bit about their background, and you can be a little bit more involved in their lives. So if you'd like to do that, please let me know. And I'll work towards assembling more teams, and then we'll just see what we can do as we try to be the kind of a congregation that people recognize as the one that cares about you and knows who you are and is concerned about what's going on in your life. So it's the Welcome Home program.
Thank you, Jeff, BJ, and Gary, with sharing us some of the ministries that you guys are involved in. I hope this has spurred on some interest and some wondering about how you can get plugged in here at North Mac. If you are looking for a place to serve, please see me. If you want to serve in any of these ways, any of the ones that we've talked about, go see those deacons and grab that list of deacons off the ministry involvement table for you to kind of find a way that you might get plugged in to serve. Let's read James 2 one more time, and then we'll wrap up with an invitation. What use is it, my brethren, if someone says he has faith, but he has no works? Can that faith save him? If a brother or sister is without clothing and in need of daily food, and one of you says to them, go in peace, be warmed and be filled, and yet you do not give them what is necessary for their body, what use is that? Even so, faith, if it has no works, is dead, being by itself. As we just read, it doesn't really do anyone any good to not live out our faith every day. Service should really be just become a way of life for all of us as Christians. If we want to live like Jesus, our lives, it really must be characterized by acts of service. There are so many ways to get involved. We want you to find a place to serve, because that is how we live out our faith. And if you feel like you aren't quite sure what to do yet, how to serve, just please, again, see me, and I'm happy to talk with you about how to do those things. If you feel like your faith is not where it needs to be, if you feel like you're ready to perhaps take your first steps into faith, in your faith journey by submitting to the waters of baptism, please come now as we stand and sing.